and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about dementia change. We will.
Hi, everyone. It's Lori LeBay with Alzheimer's Speaks. I just want to give a shout out to Maud's Awards. They are open now for applications until May 19th. And there, if you're an individual, you can win up to $5,000 and a corporation up to, or organization up to $25,000 for work you have already done. I also want to mention if you're going to be in Minnesota, August 13th, I'll be out in Plymouth with AmeriChoice. We're going to be doing a presentation called Realities of Dementia. We're going to be exposing the tears, fears, and joy, and how each plays a significant role in how we care and how our care is perceived by others. And last, I'll give a shout out to Twiddle. If you are looking for something to help calm somebody down, maybe when they've got anxiety or sundowning, go to 4 twiddles.com. And if you put in AS25, you'll get 25% off to boot. Well, look who's behind the curtain today. I'm excited we've got a music therapist, and then we have somebody with an app for communications, and both of these things play together so nicely. But I'm gonna have each of them introduce themselves and how they can really improve your dementia care. So, Alexis, you want to go first?
Sure, I would love to. It's so good to see you today, Lori. Thanks for having us on. Well, my name is Alexis Baker. I am the founder of Bridgetown Music Therapy. I am a music therapist of 12 years. I am also a certified dementia practitioner. And my heart and passion is really for making a difference in the lives of people living with dementia through the use of music. And throughout the years in my work, I've gotten to see so many amazing effects and really the benefits of music on the lives of people with dementia. So my company is all about sparking joy and connection through music. I do a variety of work, both in person and during COVID in 2020, I created an online program. I was forced to come up with an alternative during that time. So I pivoted online, and I've just been working on getting the word out about the power of music in dementia care.
Fantastic. Tyler, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much, Lori, for having us on. So my name's Tyler Zanini. I'm the founder of Memory Board. Memory Board is a tool to improve communication and stay connected with loved ones with memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's. The goal of Memory Board is we're digitizing the sticky note or digitizing the whiteboard that many of us have kind of become accustomed to, when we're taking care of our loved ones. And it was really inspired by my personal journey, my family's journey, helping to take care of my grandmother, who's turned 95 recently, has had vascular dementia for over 5 years. And, just as kind of the years went by, it was just harder and harder to keep in touch with her, continue to communicate, and really kind of support her and kind of everything that she needed. So Memory Board is a device. It's a digital screen that would be in your loved one's living room, kitchen, bedroom, by the entryway. And throughout the day, through an app that family members and caregivers control, you can send messages, reminders, updates. You can send photos with that are tagged for additional context. So maybe you want to include somebody's name or the location of where the photo was taken, so you can communicate with your loved one in real time. And the goal is really, for the person with memory loss, the burden is super, super low. All they need to do is really look at the screen. They don't need to manage the device themselves. They don't need to adjust any of the settings. They don't need to turn anything on and off. It's always connected to power. It's always connected to Wi-Fi, and everything is kind of managed from the app, from the loved ones anywhere in the world. So it's been a really helpful tool for my grandmother. I'm sending her messages, and I have a 2-year-old at home, so I send a lot of updates about what's going on with her throughout the day. And then the other thing that we've seen is it's really helpful for people in terms of just managing their loved ones day to day. So kind of what's going on throughout the day, what appointments do they have? Maybe you're running 10 minutes late coming back from the grocery store. These really kind of quick updates are, one, kind of providing connection, and two, providing peace of mind for everybody.
Okay, great. I'm going to go up to Alexis and kind of have you share a little bit more detail about your Bridgetown Music Therapy. It is absolutely fabulous. I know I have people in my support groups who have tapped into it that really enjoy it a lot. And so thank you for being with us. And I can't wait for you to share a little more with the rest of our audience.
Sure. I would love to. Well, as a music therapist, I really do quite a variety of work. I'm constantly educating about what music therapy is. I'm advocating for services. So that is part of our work as music therapists, is education and advocacy. I do a lot of speaking and writing and networking and collaborating. I'm very active on LinkedIn and Facebook, our social media platforms. So that's part of that, like running the business. Um, but as far as my work as a music therapist, I provide services in person. I the 12 years I've been a music therapist, I've always been a traveling therapist. So I drive around to all of my sites in the Portland, Oregon area, and provide in-person service. But that drastically changed during COVID. Um, all of my clients canceled in the span of a couple weeks, and I wasn't able to go see them and do my visits. It was actually my husband's idea. He is a professional videographer, and he was like, "Hey, why don't I just start filming you?" And we'll create some pre-recorded sessions that are accessible at any time. And so we launched, it was like fall of 2020, we launched this program. We didn't even know what we were doing, but we started with 4 videos, and we put it out to my clients, and many of them signed up, started using it, and we started getting positive feedback on it. So we're just like, okay, let's keep going with it, keep creating more videos, and pushing it out there. So that's kind of how it all started. And I have really created the program to be dementia friendly, because that is my specialization, my main focus. So I've taken my years of experience working in person with people with dementia, and I really interact with the camera, like they're right there with me, and it's meant to be a very engaging, interactive experience, not just sit back, receptive experience, but I'm inviting them to sing with me. I'm inviting them to move to the music, to do some deep breathing with me. Um, all kinds of, I cover a wide range of music. I uh, I've put together a bunch of different themed sessions, so it's really a wide variety. And I'll pull it up here so I can show the listeners the actual program. But all that to say, four and a half years later, we just kept creating content, and 4.5 years later, we've built up a video library of over 350 therapeutic music sessions. So let me pull it up.
It's hard to believe since COVID, because COVID still seems like it was yesterday in some ways, that you have that big of a collection. That's amazing.
Yeah. The first year, we released a new 50-minute session every week.
Mhm.
So then we built up to 52 sessions in that time. And then we just kind of went crazy after that. But this is my website. We have two program names. They are the same program, different pricing. One is for groups and community settings, so like memory care facilities. The other is called Singing at Home, and it's for individual use in home setting for people with their caregiver. The other program is Music with Alexis. So we just have a simple member login from our website. And then once a member's logged in, they see this. And excuse me, we currently have 9 different collections in our video library. So this is just how we organize everything within the program. So there's 9. We have 30-minute sessions that are themed, and then we have 30-minute sessions that are variety. We have individual songs. We have 60-minute themed and 60-minute variety. And the variety is just like, it's a mix of music. And then we have our special collections, hymns and spirituals, Americana, and Winter Holiday collection. And then our newest one that I've been working like crazy on, we just launched it at the beginning of April, is our Movement Moments collection. And this is something that I've woven throughout my work always, is physical movement, and I typically do seated movement. But this is a video series, a collection of videos that is focused solely on the physical movement. So it's all seated movement to music. And I'll pull one of these up. So we've got music of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, spirituals, and we're still adding to this one. Let's see. So members can just pick a video and hit play. It's as simple as that.
My name is Alexis, and I am thrilled we get to spend this time together doing music.
So after a little intro,
we're going to get our shoulders moving,
teaching the movements
in front. So we're going to do kind of a shoulder shrug as we move our hands from side to side.
There's the music.
And we've got this move.
All right, so you get the idea with that. With the movement, I'm really taking time to teach the movements we do for each song and walk them through. And then music and movement go hand in hand so well, so it's a really great tool for exercise and physical movement. And then let me just pull up a regular session.
Hello. My name is Alexis, and I'm so happy you're joining me for music today. For our theme, we're going to celebrate springtime with some spring-themed songs.
Jump ahead a bit.
Every little swallow, every chickadee, every little bird.
So we have all the words on screen. We have the songs that are in the session listed down here. They can even download the lyrics and print them out if they'd like. We've tried to think through everything. We have the timestamps so they know if it's, so for example, if it's a caregiver at home and they need some respite or they need to get something done, they know exactly how much time they have. They can hit play and go take a break or get something done they need to. And then in communities, similar idea where staff are running around like crazy, they can turn this on. We really do encourage staff and caregivers to be present with the participants throughout the session because they can really help with engagement. But it's a very versatile tool within dementia care and can be used in a lot of different ways in one-to-one settings, group settings, and everything in between.
Well, and that's nice because everyone's at a different level or in a different mood, depending on how their day is going. And that goes for both the caregiver and the person with dementia and how much they want to participate or how they want to participate in things. And I do want to mention that the quality of the videos is really good when we're showing them through Zoom and we're doing it through the internet. It was kind of cutting in and out, and that is not what you're going to get when you do it directly. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that they are really nice quality videos, and it's just an internet thing, right now because we're doing a share. So
yes, thank you for mentioning that. Zoom adds another layer of
I thought they looked pretty good. So
yes,
Yeah.
they're very clean and high quality.
yeah, you can tell.
And maybe it was really good for you and not some cutting in and out a little bit for me because of my internet here. Well, Tyler and I were on the phone the other day and I'm like, okay, mine is just spinning.
Yeah.
So
usually it's me, so I felt a little better.
yeah. So again, those variables we can't control, but yeah, you do a great job, and I know families really appreciate it. And I like that, because we have families that listen, but we have lots of professionals as well. And this is a great way, like you said, you started it during COVID, because one of the things they weren't having was interactions and activities and things like that. And this is something that can be plugged in and pushed through to their TVs and stuff, depending on how communities are set up. And, with staff shortages and music, I just know from when my mom was in a community, and not everyone ties into music, but I would say just from what I've observed, probably 95% of the population in community really appreciates music. And you might even say even higher than that, because one of the things you can do with your music is the type of music will make a difference and it'll resonate. So I like that you have, the hymns, you've got the variety, you even have the variety in the lengths and stuff. And then to add in the movement now is really very cool. To be able to offer. So especially because people are talking about being so sedentary these days, and those little movements can mean a lot, especially as we age. I know I'm 60, I'll be 66 in a couple of months, and I can tell in my own body, it's really important to keep things moving. So thank you. Anything else that you wanted to mention? We definitely for sure want your contact information that you'd like people to have.
Well, Alexis, question for me is like, how do you think about kind of song selection and that kind of therapy component? Like, how do you go about song choice and speed of song, and what your kind of goals are with the music?
Yeah, so I really draw from my work and my experience, my training as a music therapist. That's a lot of it, and my in-person work with people. So I do like the sessions really are set up for people living with dementia because I speak at a slower pace. I generally play music at a slower pace. Keep it really simple, nothing complex. Um, that's the gist of it. I also wanted to mention Lori, in response to your prompt, I barely scratched the surface in showing you. So that was a spring themed session in the 1940s, but there's people like I generally work with an age span of 40 to 50 years. So it's huge. And the music preferences within that span it covers so much. So within each collection, we have a little search bar tool that people can look up singer names and song names to find their music preferences. So that's part of it. And um, I also wanted to mention that there are only 10,000 music therapists in the US. So even though we provide very valuable work, there just aren't enough of us to go around, especially within senior care I mean, there's a projected number by 2050 that people living with dementia, the number of people living with dementia is going to double by 2050. So it's a population where there's a lot of need. And so I created this program in response to COVID, but as I continued on with it, I realized that there's really a need for some alternatives to formal music therapy. So I don't call our online program formal music therapy. I say it's music therapist created, but nothing can really replace in person. Like you just can't um, replace in person work. However, there need to be some alternatives because one, music therapists can be difficult to find or limited by geography. They can be cost prohibitive. Um, and so creating a program that's accessible anywhere, that's high quality and affordable, and it's created by a music therapist, so it's not just random. It's intentional. It's by design. So that's the idea behind it. And really just I've really kind of reinvented myself as a music therapist over the years. So finding other ways to um, use my skills, my passion, to continue making a difference with music. And that can be done in so many different ways. So it's fun and exciting work. I love it.
Yeah,
I
great
get to be
question.
creative.
Yeah, great question, Tyler. And for people who don't know what a music therapist does, and please add on to this, Alexis. But I mean, they can change moods of people, by what they play through the rhythm, through the songs themselves. And one of the things that I think you do such a great job is you really have good eye contact and you say little things that engage people in your sessions where it's not just I'm doing this, follow me type thing. I mean, you really understand the participants that you're dealing with, and I think that makes such a huge difference there. So you're always very welcoming and friendly and things. I understand how you've got the music therapist created the content because I know some music therapists. I have run across some in my years. They don't like sharing what they do with people in the public and the novices of the world because the schooling you go through is really intense and it's very deep. And so I think there's been some people that have called themselves therapists, not understanding that this is really a training that you have to go through and a certification to achieve, and that there's just so much to what you guys have to offer. And not that there couldn't be a song, even in what you've put together, that could be a trigger for somebody. I mean, that's something that you'll never, ever know because all of us are individuals. And so I have seen people react to songs where they've gotten sad that might remind them of the war. And for the rest of it, it's very patriotic. And so those are things that you just have to learn. And then you'll kind of skip through those if that happens to be in one that you're playing with, is what I would imagine people would do.
Yeah. So with my in-person work, I definitely am able to respond in the moment. And I've had clients just break down and crying, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know what's going on inside with them. But yes, as I get to know them, it's like, okay, I avoid those songs. Like I've had clients where it's like we never do Que Sera Sera, like very specific songs. But with my online program, it's more of a general approach, and it's really up to the caregivers and staff to kind of monitor and like see how it's going. And that's why we say it's ideal for um, a caregiver or staff person to be with them during the session so that if there's some crazy emotional response, like they can hit pause or skip ahead or, because I don't want to cause emotional damage or, but sometimes the emotional responses can be healthy as well. So it takes some intuition for sure to know when it's okay to um, use a certain song or go into that emotional area or not. And it's just learned along the way.
Do you have anywhere they're like uplifting? Because I know you have music to put people to sleep, to wake them up. I mean, when you're doing the in-person stuff, do you have any things like that in general? And again, I know you can't guarantee anything because you've got such a broad audience online. But do you have anything specific, like if someone's just kind of sad and down, or do you recommend that people look at the titles and say, what are their favorites? What would cheer them up? Because again, a lot of this has to go back onto the care partner to know their needs and likes and dislikes.
There's not any one particular song that always works. I have a few go-to songs, and by far the most familiar and favorite is You Are My Sunshine. Like it works in so many different settings and I know it's like so overused and sometimes people are just like sick of it, but it does work. I have one in-person client I see, she's bedbound and I just see her for like 5 minutes a week because she's part of a site that I go to. But her son is there and he always tells me you're like a shot of vitamin D when you come in. Like you always leave, she's better off. Like, and we sing You Are My Sunshine every week. Like it's our thing, it's our ritual. But music preference is so personal. Everyone has such um unique preferences to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing that can be defined or it's not a formula.
Not a one size fits all. We
Yeah.
actually used You Are My Sunshine was the last song that was sung at my mom's funeral, and everybody went in and everyone was just uplifted. And we explained that it
Wow.
was my mom's favorite song and stuff. And it was just it was incredible. We had people come up going, we've never been to a funeral like that. It was just
Mm.
because we picked her favorite songs and we explained why they were her favorite songs
Mhm.
during, and so that was kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting that response, but everybody responds to music if you let them, you know.
Mhm.
So why don't you give contact information real quick, and then we'll go over to Tyler and hear more about his memory board.
Sure. Well, my website is bridgetownmt.com. So the MT is for music therapy, bridgetownmt.com. And we have a contact us button at the bottom, but my email is just alexis@bridgetownmt.com if you want to reach out, if you have any questions or just want to connect, I'm available.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing the amazing work that you're doing with us. Really appreciate it, Alexis.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
let's see, Tyler. Let's go to you and hear a little bit more about the memory board.
Yeah. Thanks again, Lori. Yeah, and Alexis, that was great. I think we all can kind of appreciate the power of music that it can have, regardless of any age. So it's super cool what you're doing. Yes, for memory board, I'll kind of come back to why we kind of originally started the company and kind of how it kind of came about. But, as I mentioned, my own kind of grandmother has had vascular dementia for a number of years. So, we were kind of always looking for a tool for her and to kind of support, not only her, but her extended family and kind of us as caregivers, kind of supporting her. But the other kind of piece was, Memory Board was really started as a family business. So I'm working on this with my father-in-law, and his mom had Alzheimer's for over 15 years. She's unfortunately since passed away, but she's kind of dealt with that experience. He had to kind of support her and kind of managing her care. And very similar, my wife's grandmother, who's not diagnosed dementia, but I think she's also 95, and just naturally as kind of you age, it's your memory just starts to go, right? It's a natural kind of component of aging. So even though she has a cell phone, sometimes she's difficult to reach. You kind of can't get in touch with her. So the memory board has really kind of been a tool to stay in touch, let her kind of know what's going on throughout the day, even when she might have misplaced her phone and, is not kind of answering text or kind of responding to calls. And that's kind of what we started to see as we went and talked to caregivers and family members and different kind of dementia support groups. People have had kind of similar experiences where, depending on where you are on kind of the spectrum of memory loss, whether it's just, and mild cognitive impairment or, advanced Alzheimer's, everybody's experience is kind of very, very different. But we kind of believe that kind of building a very kind of simple tool that keeps the burden super low for your loved ones, ultimately kind of help them provide connection, help them manage their day to day, and ultimately kind of provide peace of mind for everyone involved. So as we were kind of starting to kind of think through this idea, we were a little bit kind of surprised to find that something like this hadn't really existed. I think things kind of fell into a few different buckets. I mean, I think we've all kind of a lot of us have kind of tried the Facebook portal or kind of something equivalent like that. But our kind of personal view is like, the moment you kind of put a device like that in front of somebody with dementia and Alzheimer's, you're kind of expecting, too much at that point. The burden is super high. You're asking them to manage a consumer device that's really intended for a mass market audience. And we kind of saw similar things with, some of the tablets or the, other kind of consumer devices that were kind of geared towards seniors. The burden is really high when the expectation is that they can manage the device, kind of navigate it, through different applications or, might use it on like a day-to-day basis, be responsible for charging it, kind of those sorts of things. So we said, hey, is there a device that can be, really kind of take all that burden away so that they're not really the ones managing it, and all they need to be doing is really kind of looking at the device kind of throughout the day. So for us, that really meant like simplifying what the device does, like we're actually removing a lot of kind of the features and functionality from, let's say an iPad, kind of equivalent, and really kind of focusing on just a few kind of simple things, which is really about communication and kind of managing kind of daily activity, ultimately to provide peace of mind for everybody involved. So with that kind of idea in mind, we started to kind of do a bunch of research, kind of figure out how do you develop a device like this, thinking through what the app kind of looks like. That took much longer than anyone expected, but Laura and I were just kind of talking about that on our call last week about just how much time things take. And then ultimately, we kind of built a MVP, a minimum viable product. And starting in January of this year, started to kind of test it out with folks. So we ran our first pilot with about 50 different groups, a mix of family members, caregivers, assisted living facilities, at-home care provider. And ultimately, I mean, we were really, really just surprised with how positive the feedback was. One, that people found it super simple and easy to use. Again, we're kind of dealing with people who, are less tech savvy, less comfortable with technology, and we continue to hear from people how easy it was to get the app set up their memory board, and they kind of like were easy. We're able to kind of follow the process, and then from there, that the memory board was really helpful for people. Both for communication and for kind of managing their loved ones day to day. So I think some of the specific things that we saw, in terms of kind of managing someone's day to day, I think some of the best feedback was their loved one was attending more events because they knew what events were happening throughout the day. They were getting reminders to, hey, go to this music class, down in the lobby, go to this, exercise class, down on the first floor. So their loved one was actually able to be more active because they were getting reminders of what was kind of going on throughout the day. And then, in other cases, we've seen people better manage kind of their agenda and kind of what's going on. So we heard from a lot of people to say, my loved one used to ask me 10 times a day, like, what are we doing today? What's kind of going on? And now the memory board kind of becomes that central hub for them to go to kind of understand, hey, today I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, I'm going to lunch with a friend, and then, we have this event around kind of dinner time. So that's kind of on the kind of day-to-day kind of agenda side. And then on the kind of ongoing communication side, it was very much the same. So, we saw another case where similar kind of situation to my wife's grandmother, where this woman's mother was always losing her phone and just had no way to kind of get in touch with her. So memory board kind of bridged the gap between that, so that she can kind of update her mom on kind of what was going on. Hey, mom, I'm coming over. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Looking forward to take you to lunch. To kind of manage the kind of ongoing kind of communication. So we've run the pilot kind of now for the first couple months of this year, and we've made some kind of tweaks and improvements, and we're just kind of getting ready to launch more broadly here kind of early May. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll just say, I think the other things we're seeing the way it be used is from a messaging front, it's everything from, reminders, updates, notifications, check-ins, a lot of loving messages, hey, mom, thinking about you. Hey, grandma, thinking about you. And then tagged photos as well. So, and as I referenced earlier, I do this a lot with my daughter, where, hey, Stella's learning to ride a bike, or, hey, she's, look, she's kind of doing this new thing. So just kind of sharing updates throughout the day with my grandmother. So with that, let me share my screen. I'll just kind of take you through the website here, memoryboard.com, and you can just learn a bit more. Great. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So here you kind of see an example of what the memory board looks like. So, as I kind of mentioned, super simple, large font, large screen display. When you enter in your message in the memory board app, it'll kind of size appropriately to fit the full width of the memory board device. You can do it with white text on a black background, or you can do it on a black text on a white background. We'll also be adding more different kind of combinations of colors for more kind of high contrast accessibility. So different kind of settings will be coming soon there. And then everything on the memory board is really managed through the mobile device. You kind of see an example here of what the enter your message or the create a post screen looks like in the memory board app. You can kind of do the same thing for similar flow for photos as well. So as I mentioned, memory board is officially launching kind of beginning of May. So we're just kind of a few weeks away from the official launch after the pilot we ran earlier this year. So ultimately, what is the goal of memory board? It's really about promoting independence, connecting families, and providing peace of mind, both for caregivers and their loved ones. Some of the key things that we've kind of really kind of prioritized is this one being specifically designed for seniors, doing things like having the large font display, being able to tag photos for additional context, some of the accessibility features that we'll be adding over time. And really everything that we're doing and kind of the features that we're thinking about are really designed with people with dementia and Alzheimer's in mind, even to the extent of everything that you can do on the board ultimately will be managed from the mobile app, so that your caregivers don't have to physically be there to make changes, to update the app, to update the memory board, ultimately allowing people who might live thousands of miles away from their loved one to be able to support in providing care. One of the things I want to highlight, we have this kind of concept of a care circle, and this kind of care circle is basically the group of individuals around the loved one who can kind of participate in sending messages, reminders, and updates to the board. So kind of to this kind of idea that we were talking about earlier of people kind of living all over the country or all over the world, now anybody can kind of be part of your loved one's care circle and join in on kind of sending messages, reminders, and updates. So there's kind of two different versions. There's the kind of 10-inch memory board, and then there's the 15-inch. Ultimately, the goal here is, people, depending on the size of your room, depending on how your vision is, you might kind of be better fit for the 10-inch or for the 15-inch. And, I think eventually what we envision is people might have boards in multiple places throughout their house. So maybe at your front door, you have a smaller board that talks about bringing your life alert with you, bringing your umbrella with you when it rains. You might have a board in your kitchen reminding you to drink water, or you might have a board in your living room that's kind of more your primary kind of hub, your primary board that you're kind of looking at most often throughout the day. So yeah, benefits of memory board: sending messages, sharing events, kind of displaying notes, check-ins, really kind of designed with simplicity in mind. So you're kind of being able to send messages in real time throughout the day. How does memory board work? One, you'd set up your memory board. So I think typically what we're seeing is it's kind of on the caregiver and the family members to set up the memory board. It's designed to be fairly straightforward. You connect to Wi-Fi. You're given a 5-digit code. You use that 5-digit code to connect the memory board with your mobile app. And then from there, the two are connected, and you're really, and you're really kind of set up from there. You download the app from iOS or from the Play Store, Google Play Store. Follow a similar process where you create your account. You enter in that 5-digit code that's custom and unique for your memory board. You can add members to your care circle, or you can do that at a later point, kind of from the settings page of the memory board app. And then from there, you're able to send your first message. So we have some kind of feedback from customers, kind of folks from the pilot, and kind of what they were saying. And then a little bit kind of our story. You see me and my grandma here, and then my father-in-law and his mom. So you can kind of read more on the site about why we started and some of the things we're doing.
So I have a question for you. So when something pops up, does it ding? So if you've got different people putting stuff in, how would somebody know to look at the board? Does it notify them at all?
It does, yeah. So it does play a sound when there is a new message. So you are notified. In the future, we'll be adding the ability to read out the message as well, because one, for people who maybe are low vision, but also in the case that like maybe you're in your kitchen and the board's in your living room and you want to kind of hear the message get played out. But it will play a message, or it will play a sound when there is a new message on the board. And then when there's multiple messages at the same time, the messages will effectively kind of carousel. So every couple of seconds, basically the kind of messages will kind of change, and whether it's a message or a photo, it'll kind of carousel throughout. But kind of what we've seen is it really kind of depends on your loved one's schedule, right? So if there's a message on there about an appointment at 11 a.m., well, at 11:05, that message is really no longer relevant. So you can schedule the message in the memory board app so that it disappears at 11:05, let's say, for example. And then maybe somebody else posts a message about something happening around lunchtime, and you want that to start at 11:30 and kind of run to 1 or 2 o'clock. So you can schedule messages for that situation, but also maybe the night before you want to schedule 3 different messages for your loved one throughout the day. For the next day, you can kind of schedule the messages 4 different times.
So when messages are being scheduled, I like that you can make it go away, because especially for someone with dementia, that'd get really confusing because a lot of times they lose their timeline during the day.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? If, let's say, Alexis is going to put something in and I'm going to put something in, do we see what has been put in by other people so that we don't conflict? Or
you do. Yeah, you do. You do. So within the memory board app, you'll see everything. You'll see what's currently being displayed on the board, and you'll also see the other messages that were posted by people in your care circle. So, if you're getting ready for a family gathering, you don't want multiple people to send the same message. You can go into the app and you say, oh, my brother has already kind of posted that message. I don't need to kind of say that. Or you can kind of see what messages are coming up in the future.
Okay. Can they ding at certain times? Like if you want it to be repeated and, get their attention again, so it's not just a roaming thing. And then if you do that, is there a way for them to get rid of it and say, like, I acknowledge that, or I know you said this is kind of a hands-off program for them. So
Yeah, it's something that we're building. I would say the biggest kind of thing that people have asked us for is like some sort of a confirmation button that kind of acknowledges the message. Now, Laura, you're exactly right. Like it goes a little bit against this idea that like it's totally hands off. But I think for some people, if they think their loved one is okay to do that, then we want to kind of give them that option. So it's definitely something we're building out, because I would say it's probably the most requested thing that people are looking for.
yeah, because I know, especially with the dementia population, people think that they're like, okay, I got it. And then 2 minutes later, they've totally forgotten about it. And so that might not work for some families if they don't understand their person. We want it to work for us because that makes us feel calm, but that doesn't always help with someone else. The other thing is for Wi-Fi. Are people on their own to get that, or is that part of your package?
Yeah, so you do require, it does require an at-home Wi-Fi, the ability to connect to like an at-home Wi-Fi network. Yeah, so we don't have a 3G or like a 5G version today. Something we might explore in the future, kind of depending on, if we kind of see that as a need. But I think so far what we've seen is like most people have, at-home Wi-Fi that they're able to connect to. Same with kind of assisted living and memory care and kind of those settings. They typically operate similar to an at-home Wi-Fi setup where, you just need a network name and a password to connect.
Yeah. Alexis, do you have any questions?
I do. Well, Tyler, this is a very cool tool for within dementia care. Did you have a background in this type of work, or are you learning as you go? Like, how did you get into this? Because it's very like techie, and I know app development is a whole thing on its own. And
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a background in dementia care specifically, but I do have a background in tech and technology, having kind of worked at startups and having kind of built a few different apps in the past. Now, I'm not a developer by background, but I've kind of worked with development teams, and that's kind of what we've been doing. In this case, is working with the development team to get this built. But I'm definitely learning as I go, every single day, and having conversations with folks like Lori that have been super informative and educational. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Now, is there a cost for the app itself? I saw that there were the costs for the different size screens. If you wanted a 10, it was or a 15-inch. I think one was $199 and the other one was $249, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was $149. I can't remember if it's $149 or $199 now.
Yeah. So the 10-inch is $149 and the 15-inch is $249, and there's no subscription cost on the app, which I think was another kind of important component for us. Ultimately, like, we just wanted to make this a product that a lot of people can get access to, and I think as part of that, making there no subscription fee, I think, is an important component of that.
Okay. Do you have a calendar per se if somebody wanted to look? And again, with dementia, that can be just horrific for some people. Usually only a day or two out max. Otherwise, people can really spin on stuff. But even this is what's going on today, where they could see in a kind of a line format for that, and then maybe this is what's coming up for tomorrow, but we might not show you till dinner time or something.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, and thanks for kind of bringing that back up, because I this kind of idea of the calendar, that was one of the things like we heard a lot from people was people have like a physical calendar on their loved one's fridge where they have events kind of written out for each day, but that the exact problem is you kind of highlighted the exact problem where people, if you don't really kind of know what day it is, what's happening, yesterday, today, tomorrow isn't really kind of relevant for them. So I think like that was actually a challenge for a lot of people, where like the calendar wasn't really helpful for people. So Memory Board is kind of intended to help some of that, where it's like kind of what's happening kind of today. What are kind of the three main things that are kind of happening today. So I'd say we don't have like a true kind of like calendar functionality per se. I think what we're seeing is like people are kind of kind of mostly keeping it to what's happening today, or kind of what's happening, tomorrow. In some cases, like what's happening kind of in the next week. If you're going to go visit your loved one in the next couple of days, you might kind of say, hey, I'll see you on this date. But again, it's kind of individual to every person where, do they kind of know what day it is? And we do include a time and date on the top of the clock. So we're telling you like what the actual day of the week is. So that's also intended to be helpful for people to kind of know kind of time and date. And then, that kind of gives you a little bit of context around the message.
Okay, wonderful. One thing I'll add in terms of the clock, because I've bought actually for a friend of mine one of those kind of time oriented clocks, and it'll have like the moon and the sun for different parts of the day. But for evening, I would really, if you're going to do that, put Z's on there for sleeping. Because a lot of people with dementia, will try to reach out to other people at wrong times of day. Now, people who are using this might not have a phone, that they have access to either on that. But thank you both for sharing your information. Tyler, do you want to give contact information out for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can learn more at our website, memoryboard.com. There you can sign up to be notified of, when we are fully live here in kind of the next couple of weeks in early May. You could reach out at our email at hello@memoryboard.com, and I'm at tyler@memoryboard.com if you want to reach out directly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both. Alexis, anything you want to add?
Oh, well, I always tell people music is like a vitamin, and a little bit every day does wonders to nourish the body, mind, and soul. So that's what I like to leave people with.
Oh, that's nice. Well, thank you both. And we appreciate all you're doing for dementia care and caregivers and that peace of mind, for those living with the disease, adding comfort and safety into their days is really important. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Lori.
you.
We appreciate you.
So, in wrapping up, I just want to again remind people that you can always go to alzheimersspeaks.com. We have tons of free educational resources there. So, just go to our free educational button and explore that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I always like to ask our audience to be givers of hope. And you can now download a graphic and add that to your social media or to your email signature or your website. We just think it's really important. So please feel free to go ahead and grab that off Alzheimer's Speaks or Dementia Map in particular. And what else do I want to say? Just we appreciate you guys. Our audience is vast and around the world and at all different levels, and none of us can do this alone. So thank you for liking, sharing, and clicking on all of the work that we do. It means a lot to us, and it means a lot to others when you share it as well. So have a blessed week, everyone. Bye now.